Hi everyone. I just got a glance at myself in the monitor, and I promise you one day soon I will be working with a camera that doesn't either make you sick or make me look sick. Because it's just awful. Anyway, please bear with me if you can. And speaking of that, for the handful of people besides myself who are really excited about my Three Sisters of Alternative Pop series. I'm stalled on that for the moment. I'm just letting it rest because although I'm really confident in my best type guesses for Aurora and Björk, I am not sure about St. Vincent at all, and I'm doing a lot of research on her, and I may have to totally revise everything. So, meantime, since that's some big thing I'm having fun working out, I thought I'd give you a little video about something I've been meaning to do for ages. And let me just start off by saying that the video itself, which I'll post a link to in the description box below, it is absolutely, it is chock full of cuss words. It is really, it's not profanity laced, it's like profanity weave, it's nonstop. And if you're if you don't like a lot of swearing, then don't watch this video. If you if you have ever found yourself commenting on any artwork whatsoever that it was in poor taste for any reason other than it just totally sucked on the artistic quality level, don't watch this video. You will not enjoy yourself. Or maybe do watch this video and then be just pissed off, whatever, I don't care. But yeah, just a little warning. But this video has made me laugh for years. Every time I see it, I laugh as hard as the first time. And you will see if you watch it that I was completely lying in the title of my video. These two stand-ups are alive and well and working pretty hard. And so the reason why I felt like putting it up is because I think it's such a great example of a bit of the badassery of INFPs, which doesn't seem to get too much airplay. There doesn't seem to be too much about that, and I have lots to say about that. Because they really are, they really are. Yeah, yes, they have very soft and squishy hearts, but make no mistake, there is a lot of there's a lot they can protect themselves with, and there's a lot that is very strong in them. And with their dominant function of introverted feeling, there are all kinds of strengths that I can talk about related to that. But the one I'll just speak of here is one that comes out in the humor that I share with also my other ENFP friends to a good extent. But I find that the biggest, the darkest laughs and the deepest and darkest laughs that I can have ever have been with my very dear INFP friends. And I think that FI just kind of goes, which I should mention to those who aren't familiar with the cognitive function stacks. I'm saying here that I believe Ricky Gervais is an ENFP. Do I really need to explain that? If you feel I should be called out and I need to explain it, I will do so. But I just don't think that too many people are going to be arguing that point. ENFP, same type as mine, has introverted feeling in the auxiliary position, so it's pretty powerful. It's used or it can be. It's probably used often if the person with it has been allowed to develop without a bunch of obstacles to doing anything according to their brain, temperamentally speaking. Louis C.K. is an INFP, I believe, and for the longest time I thought that Louis C.K. was an ENFP. Because his extroverted intuition is so very strong and so often on display. I feel like what I've had to go on in typing him, which is just his interviews with him and his work, where he plays more or less himself or some version of himself, or is doing his stand-up. I would say the ratio of all of that stuff is about 2/3 extroverted intuit, the issue of extroverted intuition in heady use, and about 1/3 is the dominant, in his case I believe, the dominant introverted failing that is we get to see in what he says and how he says it. Now, here, the reason I thought that he was probably an ENFP for the longest time was just because of that. The NE is just so massive, and you can see it in this video. This is a great example of that too. You can see what he's doing to cope with this very stressful situation. The kinds of really, really off-the-wall, improvisational, like just nutty juxtapositions of things that make no sense but are really funny. It's some pretty classic extroverted intuition, all revved up and spraying out everywhere. So there's that, and I was led astray for a little while about him with that. Just because I was like, I'm not going to go on the stereotypes. I know that he has a lot of curmudgeonly stuff in his work and his sort of autobiographical stuff that he talks about. But I thought, well, perhaps he's I know he had a pretty crap childhood and he doesn't think too much of, there's some painful stuff back there for sure. And I thought, well, perhaps he's a fairly damaged ENFP, But then something came along that really changed my mind. And that was, I'm going to paste a link to this in the description box below. It was an interview he did as part of a press junket for, I can't remember what now, animated film. And here he is being interviewed for that, and obviously a promotional capacity. And he just looks so miserable. He looks so grumpy and uncomfortable and just miserable, frankly. And I thought, oh my God, that's just, that's INFP. That's INFP, I don't know. It just totally sealed it for me. Here he was, and I thought, he's done this film. Who knows why he's done this film, but he does not feel great promoting it. That is for sure. You can just see it all over his body language and his sunglasses and his slouching and his arms crossing and his just trying not to talk and letting his colleague just take it away with the interviewer. It's just so crabby. I just thought, oh yeah. Again, not at all INFPs are like that, but I can see a lot of INFPs I'm close to, just absolutely hating to do something like that. ENFPs, we're not too crazy about that either. Putting on the song and dance, for we feel really weird about doing something that we don't 100% believe in and going public with it and representing it. But especially for some filthy lucre, but we can cope, a lot of us, we can deal with it. We don't like it, we're a bit awkward as usual, but we don't, we can do it. INFP, so for a lot of INFPs, that's just too much to deal with. They just, they can't do it. Can't bring themselves to do it. Or certainly not wholeheartedly. So that's what sealed it for me. That's what made me think, okay, Louis C.K. definitely, I definitely think that he is an INFP. I'll talk more about him some other time and all of the INFP stuff I see in him and with reference to what's in his cognitive function stack. But back to NE. So you see this kind of thing going on between Ricky Gervais and Louis C.K. A lot of it's mostly Louis C.K. doing a lot of improv in there, and just saying the most foul things, like just the most awful things. I mean, that's what he's doing. And as soon as I saw this thing that I love, I just recognized. I was like, oh my God, this is what I do with my INFP friends in terrible situations. We go right to this gallows humor, and we just take it as far as we can. And then we laugh. We just laugh our guts out. And I think that FI, introverted feeling, when you have a lot of it in your, if it's in prominence in your cognitive function stack, and then you've got a lot of big imagination attached to it, then you can go to some pretty terrible places. I think the NFPs, particularly INFPs, we can't help but be somewhat melancholic, Jung called it, there's that depth, that constant, unrelenting depth of feeling that is kind of sloshing around inside all the time, and very hard to ignore. And then there is this kind of tendency to, to when your idealism is disappointed, as it often, very often is, it's pretty easy for the NFPs to kind of get kind of down, get really down about these things. ENFPs less often, I would say, as a rule, but it's, it's there. We've got the capacity. And for the INFPs, like they practically, they set up house in there. So like they're very at home with the dark places psychologically. And I just wanted to point out this side of it that I've never seen talked about with INFPs, or about INFPs out here online. But this is a real feature of them, I find, is that they can be very, very funny, and they're badass. They are. And I have a lot more to say about that. They've got these squishy hearts inside, but they've got lots of means of protecting them. And they know what they think about a lot of things, and they don't mince any words about it either. So they can be quietly fierce. That's what I say about them. All right, and one last thing. There's a terrific exemplar. There are several really, but there's one that's just completely unmistakable, that if anyone wants a reference point for it, they might like to look to it. As to how it is that Louis C.K. is absolutely an NF, there's a thing he says in there that is just only an NF could possibly conceive of it, I believe. And that is when he is joking in the first part of this trip by mentioning to Ricky Gervais what a flight attendant had said about the kids on the laps of some parents sitting at the front of a plane he'd been in, telling them that their kids had to move and why. And when he says to Ricky, you'll see the line if you look at it, what he says to Ricky Gervais is, why such language? That's his sort of punchline on the story. And that is just such an NF thing to say. I can't imagine an NT person saying it. I can't imagine an SP person saying it. I can't imagine an SJ person thinking of it at all. Just the way he was so sort of like, that's the outrage, and that shows that he has that NF's way of thinking about how things are going to make people feel. And to him, he just was, he thought it was just horrific that a flight attendant would not be thoughtful enough to use a different way, to speak of what she had to speak of to those passengers in a different way that was less kind of callous and horrible. But then, of course, he turns around and just says the most callous and horrible things that could possibly come to his mind. And this was another thing that I recognized in it that made me laugh so hard, is that, and this is NE too, I believe, although not that only people with a lot of NE extroverted intuition could get it, of course not, but I think that we would be prone to getting it very quickly, very, very quickly, as to what Louis C.K. is doing when he's rattling off these horrific things as he thinks he's about to die in this plane. What he's doing is trying to, this is also an INFP specialty, I think, too, is what we call catastrophizing or awfulizing, and he's just doing it to the max. And he's, talk about dark, like he thinks that they very well might be dead soon from this plane going down. And what he's doing to calm himself is trying to just think in very improvisational, off-the-cuff style, trying to think of a series of as horrible other things more horrible than the plane going down as he can think of, and he's going to take comfort in that. And I find that to be very, very heavy FI. That's a very heavy FI thing to do. And the way he's doing it is very heavy NE. So, without further ado, please enjoy.